Hello, Mattsuki here. I wanted to discuss the news around hardcore returning to MWII and why I think it's going to be a negative for the game long term. Also, I'd like to express why I believe Infinity Ward were right to replace hardcore with Tier 1 mode when the game came out. So let's jump right in. To start off, these modes are very similar with a few key changes that I'll get into very soon. I've been in a lot of heated debates on Twitter recently over why hardcore should and shouldn't come to MWII. A lot of arguments have boiled down to the slightly longer time to kill in Tier 1, while simultaneously people are arguing that Tier 1 is more realistic and COD is anything but realistic, so Tier 1 shouldn't exist. Obviously these are contradictions, so I wanted to try and steelman these people's points before I rip some ham on these arguments. What they really mean is that hardcore is supposed to be an easier mode with the one-shot kills to every part of the body. The realistic element they speak of is actually regarding the HUD elements, not the time to kill. Hardcore is more realistic than Tier 1. In real life, if I get shot in the belly, I'm gonna be immobilized. Meanwhile, in Tier 1, it's taken multiple shots, plus I can regenerate health. So the HUD elements not present in Tier 1 are the kill feed, compass, and the visual hit markers. Tier 1 is a newer mode, and in my opinion, it is trying to innovate and improve upon hardcore. It didn't just remove the hit markers and call it a day. They removed the hit markers and gave us a distinct audible feedback when we finish off players. Have yourself a listen. A lot of complaints came from no longer seeing hit markers, but as we've already found out, hit markers are no longer necessary as the audible death feedback is in play. I'm sure some people will argue that they don't play COD with audio, but at that point you aren't even playing the game properly. I mean, 1, you aren't even listening for footsteps, 2, you can't hear gunshot directions, and 3, you aren't hearing the battle chatter in the announcer, nor the teammate callouts. You're at such a disadvantage without audio that I would just disregard that point entirely in a game like MWII. Audio is necessary to compete with or without visual hit markers. Another complaint I heard around enemy deaths was that you have to rely on seeing the enemy fall and die, which to their own experience, they've said it's too hard to see happen in the distance. I 100% disagree, as MWII's graphics and lighting are extremely good and clear. They even made lighting adjustments from the beta going into the launch by making the players stand out more from their environments. Perhaps this is a field of view issue instead of a graphical one. If your FOV is maxed out, you have an inherent advantage in close quarter engagements. However, you can become so fish-eyed that it can sometimes be a little difficult to see a target very, very far away. So far that I would argue that this is only an issue in Invasion, and Invasion doesn't have Tier 1 mode. It's like MW19 Ground War, large open maps not designed to have a Call of Duty flow. They're closer to Warzone and Battlefield maps, not 6v6. Plus, if you really want to get super big brain about this, you could just equip the kill counting gun screen. It's a pretty immersive hidden HUD element if you have it. Honestly, it would also just be pretty cool if everyone was given a minimap watch in Tier 1 to look at. MW19 had one, and I just wish it was utilized in actual game modes. Next up, we have the kill feed debate in Tier 1. Unlike hardcore, Tier 1 did remove the kill feed for a cleaner HUD. You don't really need a kill feed in COD unless you're watching it like a hawk, trying to keep track of the streaks enemies are on. I personally never do that. It doesn't help too much. Even if I know an enemy is on a large streak, all I'm really encouraged to do is play scummy to knock someone off that streak, which I don't really find fun. COD may be a casual competitive game, but I don't think it needs to be that deep to the point someone else earning a streak needs to take my top priority. If you aren't winning your gunfights with players already in the match, you should probably adapt your playstyle more to win. A kill feed isn't necessary to tell you get good. Another half of this argument comes down to friendly fire showing up on the kill feed. It's kind of a trend in hardcore to kill enemies that accidentally killed you, I guess, but people have argued that because there's no kill feed, sometimes teammates will revenge kill you by accident. They'll get confused between if they got killed to an enemy or killed by you, the teammate. And because there's no kill feed, they'll have to rely on their gut feelings. Rather than admitting the kill feed is necessary in this department, I think that this argument highlights an even deeper issue located in both Tier 1 and good ol' hardcore mode. And that is friendly fire. Why does it need to exist in these low health modes? Can't we just implement some permanent ricochet or perhaps disable friendly fire altogether? And in case you guys didn't know, I have been part of the One Boom community for around 6 years and I've been a mod around the channel for 4 years, but throughout those years I do recall this question popping up. This was the only place I heard this counter argument too, so here it is. The reason we can't have ricochet nor disable friendly fire is because of trolls. Apparently a change like ricochet would cause everyone to start trolling, getting in people's faces, trying to get you to self-kill. I imagine this is more of an issue with the large streamers, but why not turn on streamer mode? Turn your name into a random alias. And if I recall correctly, Tier 1 doesn't have nameplates, so it would be even harder now to troll a larger YouTuber or streamer. And then apparently Apparently, we also can't just disable friendly fire because people will get up in your face, shoot your body without consequence, alert the enemies with the clap of your butt cheeks is essentially what I'm saying, and you can't do anything about it. I think this argument is kind of dumb and just requires such a random encounter to actually happen. It's so rare and unlikely with a current streamer mode and how tier 1 operates with no name tags. Next case. This is another from Twitter. Apparently, we need hardcore in MW2 because the tier 1 mode doesn't show us camo unlock icons. Firstly, I'd like to say that this game does not show us camo unlock icons to begin with. Yeah, they actually nerfed a good feature yet again. If I recall correctly, MW19 also didn't have camo unlock icons until an update later down the line after launch. MW2 currently doesn't have camo unlock icons, but it does have challenge completion icons that are not distinct from one another in the slightest. What camo do you think I just unlocked here? Tell me. Go on. I'll give you a hint. It was one of these 4 camos. I narrowed it down that much. Why can't you tell? Oh, because they don't actually give any information on what we just completed. What a useless feature, guys. We totally need hardcore to show us this broken mechanic. Wow. So if you guys couldn't already tell by my unenthusiastic voice, I don't like people calling this camo unlock icon. It's like Infinity Ward calling the 7th or 8th recycled shipment map a new map in MW2 Season 1. It's a lie. Sure, it's new to MW2, but in no shot is it a new original map. Much like how this in no way tells me I unlocked a specific camo. The point of a camo unlock icon is to 1, tell me what camo I unlocked, and 2, to tell me that I'm being rewarded for my hard work. In what way does this trophy cup signify I unlocked a camo? It looks like I did a special achievement for some calling card or some minor reward. This is what shows up for unlocking a dirt camo and the mastery camo of the flippin' game. It's the same regardless of the work I put in. There actually was a more recent update that actually fixed this a little bit, a smidge. It does tell you what you completed now, but it still doesn't show the camo, so I still would like to see the camo. So you know what, hardcore community, I'm gonna give you guys that point. I wasn't really up to date on it, I'm sorry, but here's what the new meta looks like, and here's kind of what I want it to look like. So if we could work together and maybe get this system back to how it used to be in COD, I think it would be splendid to have in hardcore and the rest of multiplayer. Shit, I mean tier 1 mode. Hardcore is coming, so whatever. Hopefully you guys see this as an issue like I do now. Honestly, after going through all these arguments, I can conclusively say that we did not need hardcore to return to make MW2 great again. MW2 already had tier 1 and core, which are 2 already lightning fast TTK modes. Not hardcore! This isn't hardcore, huh? It's not hardcore, it's not hardcore, it's not hardcore. Do we really need a third? Especially when that third is also almost identical to tier 1 mode. I don't think so. Instead, Infinity Ward could have just listened to the criticisms tier 1 was getting and just add an option to enable the kill feed and enable the camo challenge completion icons. And at that, maybe fix the camo completion icons to actually tell us what we're unlocking. I think hardcore is kind of an overcorrection, especially when tier 1 has made a lot of improvements to the general, less competitive experience in COD multiplayer. Some changes I really like in tier 1 are the fact that most guns do not one tap to the body, most take 2 shots or 3 shots to kill, but that's not all. The headshots in tier 1 will one-shot kill. This means if you want that satisfying one-shot kill hardcore offered in the past, you actually have to aim for it. You can't just spray your gun everywhere, not manage a recoil, and not hit follow-up shots. If hardcore is truly the skillless mode, and that's why people like it, I argue that, sure, bring it back, but don't allow camo progression in that mode. Camos have challenges to unlock them, and without a challenge in hardcore, that kind of defeats the purpose of having an unlock requirement to begin with, let alone having a mastery camo exist. If you aren't mastering a gun to learn its recoil, setting up engagements, or even customizing it for challenges, what's the point in Orion and Polyatomic? Their mastery status is just stripped away and they're just time-based camos. Who cares about the effort they took to unlock, like say Black Sky did in Infinite Warfare or Dark Matter in BO3? If you ran a mastery camo in those games, especially in Infinite Warfare because that game did not have a 24/7 small map mode, people knew you meant business, or that you love the game so much that you played it in its entirety to unlock the end game reward. It was more special back then, and I miss it for those reasons. We just don't have that dynamic anymore. The mastery camos in MW19, Vanguard, and now MW2 are all grind map camos. They don't indicate you know how to play the standard 6v6 sized maps with all guns. It's meaningless. And with that, I'm just gonna say, this is a mistake. Hardcore does not help MW2 as much as the vocal minority on Twitter is saying. Yes, feedback is important, unless it's based in hatred, meme calling, nostalgia, or a mob mentality that grew too large, instead of some civilized reasoning, empathy for the devs and the game's players, and of course feedback with legitimate playtime and understanding behind your arguments. So, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, homies.